One of the most confusing things about God is that there's a universal understanding that God is love. And yet, there's also a universal experience that God doesn't really seem to care. Now, when I say God doesn't care, what I mean is when we try to appeal to God, like Santa Claus or an angry parent, we find that sometimes we get what we want, and then we say it's a miracle, or that we have God's favor, or that it's proof that God likes us, or that we're doing the right thing. But if you look at the odds and the averages of when you get what you want and when you don't, it's pretty obvious that God's not sitting at a computer answering emails and requests. Something else is going on. I'm Dr. Jonathan Ellerby. I've been studying mysticism, which is the global phenomena of the direct experience of God, for over 30 years. And I write about it in my books. So let me help you with this understanding, and maybe you want to join me in a class I have coming up called The Real and the Radiant, where we look at universal experiences of God and how this is actually a reflection of science, core themes in mystical traditions, and the healing journey. Could be helpful. So the problem we have is that when we say God is loving from the perspective of mysticism, the direct experience of God, what it means is that in any moment and in any place, we can find the experience of love. If God is the universe and God is the source and design of all things, then love is always possible. Love is always imminent. Love is always available. But sometimes to explain that, we personify God like a person, which isn't actually very congruent with most people's experiences of God directly. Now, that doesn't mean people don't have experiences of Jesus or Krishna or Buddha. They do. But those are more like experiences of beings as opposed to God itself. So that would be like God, the expression, as opposed to God, the source. Well, we're not going to get too deep into this right now, only to say that whatever your tradition, whether it's Christian, Muslim, atheistic, Jewish, Buddhist, Hindu, indigenous, there are people in your lineage, your ancestry, who had the direct experience of God. And in their direct experience, one thing they described was an oceanic love, a love that was abundant, was universal, was available to all. And that's really the most important thing you need to know, is that love is always possible. But you are the gatekeeper, not God. You decide if you're going to keep barriers between yourself and others. You decide if you're going to believe the mental chatter of trauma and hurt from your life. You decide if you're going to wake up and look for grace and beauty and wonder in the world or not. If you want to find love, you will. And if you want to look for proof that God doesn't care, you'll find that too. Ultimately, God is best understood as a feeling. God is best understood as an original energy that pervades all things, informs all things, and yet is not really like you and me. And you could say, yes, God is me, but you can't really say, I am God, meaning the totality of God is me. I guess that's where a lot of our ancient mystics got into trouble. So why don't you try that out for a while? Give up the kind of childlike relationship to God that wonders if God is going to give you what you want, and if God remembers you, and if God cares for you, and consider the assumption that God is the essence of life. That essence is love, and it's available right now, right here, and it's waiting for you. But you have to choose it, and you have to open your heart, and you have to open the gate. And that requires spiritual practice, study, and deep humility. If you'd like to learn more, please like and follow, and we'll do this together.